Oh, you were
We're
married.
married. Okay.
With that.
That was pretty stupid.
We had to get Coldplay for the show today. Thanks to Grant for putting up a Coldplay song for us so we could be part of the action. I'm sure ours won't go viral.
No.
But we'll try, right?
Yes.
So that's a pretty wild situation. I mean, like we were talking about, if they would have just acted like nothing happened,
Yeah.
I'm sure some friends or family may have caught them at the actual stadium, but I mean, they had a pretty intimate moment in a really large place. You would think that,
It wouldn't have blown up as bad as it was.
no, first of all, it would have just been an argument between neighbors and friends or
Did I
something.
see you with Coldplay? No, wasn't me.
It wasn't me, it must have been AI. But
You're
yes,
going to believe me or your lying eyes. Yeah.
so Grace Springer, who's 28 years old, she's the one who actually filmed the moment that will forever live in everyone's mind. They can't even move out of the country because this played on the news in other countries. So, you want to move out of the country and start a new thing. They're everywhere. But she's 28. She filmed the moment, exposed the cheating tycoon and his head of HR. How good was she doing her job with
Yeah.
human resource?
Pretty good.
She's got to fire herself over this. But she didn't make $1 off of this. So she didn't get any revenue. I mean, of course, her social media blew up. It was over 122 million views on her page in less than a week.
How does she not get any revenue?
I don't know. She was asked, of course, she's being interviewed everywhere. She's going to become a star. She'll probably be, your next internet
So how does she not?
influencer.
I mean,
I know it says she's made zero, which maybe you have to sign. I don't think you just automatically make money when something goes viral. I think you have to kind of be put into the plan. Maybe she is now set up. I'm not sure. I mean, she feels bad that
well, nothing's ever going to get the views that did for her.
No, well, you never know. I mean, all you have to do is have one thing, do a sex video or something, and you're going to be a star. So just do something wrong on social media and you're going to make it. But she thought it would be an interesting, reaction. She likes grabbing things like that. The only thing that's kind of getting to me is all they keep talking about is him. Andy Byron, is that his name? Andy Byron.
Right. It takes two to tango.
Yeah, all they keep talking about is the CEO. But what about Kristen Cabot, Cabot, however you say her last name? I mean, she's married too, apparently.
Yeah.
Where's the sorrow for her husband?
Yeah, poor guy.
It's all about him.
I worry, but I feel bad for the kids.
If they have kids,
yeah,
there is kids.
Yeah.
Each of them have kids.
Yes.
Because they're fairly young.
Yeah.
So it would be easy for them to have kids. Yeah, that is the bad part. I mean, these kids are going to school, and there isn't a meme. My gosh, Legos made the embrace. I sent you the pugs that were embraced. Hillary Clinton, they've got Trump, which just tells you when it comes to AI, you have no idea what you can believe.
We don't know what to believe.
No, I just said that I read a letter of apology that the CEO made, and he was saying that they were caught in a private moment.
Apparently it's fake. Yeah,
apparently it's fake, so you don't even know. Apparently they haven't said anything,
and what's sad is even if it's on the news, you can't believe it
because they're just well, you know what, there was a breaking news of a ship that was caught it was a Royal Caribbean. It was caught in the hurricane. And so you know how they'll show B-roll. So it shows the ship, it shows waves coming over the top where people are sitting, and it's just rushing over the top of this boat. Came through a window in a dining room. They're showing this footage, and first I'm like, oh, I'm never going on a cruise ship again. But the thing is, the flag, they were showing a ship, and it was the Disney, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse flag does not fly on a Royal Caribbean. So they were using B-roll of just waves coming up on ships, and
because they didn't have any footage, so
we don't even that it's the real.
I know.
You can't even believe when you watch the news and they just put anything up to make you fall for it. So, but that is definitely something else. We do want to give a shout out, Squire's Restaurant.
Yes.
So they were so kind. They were on the show. We had never been there before. The owner, Bethany, and her daughter AJ invited us for dinner to have an experience there.
That was Wednesday night that we went there.
Yes. After the show. And we wouldn't even bring it up again if it wasn't so wonderful. But it was, if you haven't been to Squires in Lafayette, it's really a nice experience. And the market is really cool that they have inside there. And their food is delicious, and it's very unique. It's different than
Where'd you
your
get the medallions?
I did get the medallions, which was over like a red whipped potato. It had Brussels sprouts, which I usually don't like Brussels sprouts, and they were really good.
I
And
had
you
the
had the
meatloaf.
meatloaf, but
I had
that
the
was also
meatloaf.
different.
The meatloaf was stacked on top of mashed potatoes and
Yeah,
gravy.
kind of like a mound, not like a
Yes,
slice.
with green beans and those fried onions on the top. And it was amazing. I hated meatloaf when I was a kid, but this meatloaf was
It was
fantastic.
so good. I was kind of
Absolutely.
sad we were so full because we didn't get dessert, but I hear their bread pudding, which came out to another table, was incredible looking. There was a puff pastry, which is their pot pie.
I want to try the pot pie next time we go
Oh my gosh.
because that looked amazing.
Yeah, so we'll have to go back so
So
we can try it out.
Squires, make sure you go to
Yeah,
Squires.
check it out. So
Lafayette Square.
and you know what's cool too? We had coffee this morning. We went and met Mayor Dan Borgmeyer. He's the mayor of St. Charles, and that was nice to sit down and hear straight from him. First of all, his love for St. Charles, his lifelong living there, including his dad, his grandfather, who was a sheriff there. Hearing older stories about St. Charles and just realizing the depth of change that the city has had and still growing, and just the love of what he has for adding new things, and watching. If you're familiar with St. Charles, there's this old steel. They don't call it the steel mill, the steel shop, I
Yeah,
believe.
steel shop.
That just says brick old
That's where
warehouse.
Yeah, transforming that.
Yeah, that runs along the river and transforming that. We were watching the bulldozer take down the steel beams in
Main Street
that.
will go through there as well.
Yeah, so the new city hall will be down there, but really utilizing the cool historical buildings that are down there in St. Charles City was cool. But yeah, I mean, when you have a chance to be able to sit down with city officials and really get to talk to them and find out what's going on in the city was cool. Really enjoyed that.
So are you going to tell them about our Gilligan's Island event?
Not unless you want me to get mad at you and tell everyone how I hated you that day. Oh my gosh. You know what? This typical men. Hey men, listen to what you have to say, because the woman, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's just go sit and tan. Go sit and tan, wife.
Nobody said that to you.
Yeah, you
No.
kind of did in your manly, I'm the man and captain of the boat. I got this. No, you didn't. So this is what we're doing. We're going in a boat. We've got friends on the boat. We've got other
We're on a
people.
Tri-Tune.
You have other people's
Thanks to
lives
Freedom Boat Club. There's a little plug.
in your hand. And we're going down, and of course, along the riverbank are literally clouds that look like a volcano has erupted, billowing over the Illinois side, looking like
over the
a
bluffs. It looks like it's
hurricane
rolling
was
over the bluffs.
coming at us.
Hurricane.
Oh yeah, it was bad. 100-foot waves.
So, hurricanes in Missouri.
You do not want to be out on the water when a storm comes. And
You
that
don't want to be out on the
experience,
water when a storm comes. When it just trickle rains with Kelly. If there's a 2%
still wanting
chance
to
of
get a
rain,
divorce, aren't
Kelly's
you?
not going.
So the other man in the boat, John, decides to be the weatherman along with Gordon. And I said, you know what? We should not be out on the water. We need to, let's pull into this.
Let's say something about the weather maps right now.
Let's
Those
pull
things don't
in.
work.
If you see clouds that look like those clouds, you should pull over. And you can't just pull over on the side of the road. We need to go to the nearest place that's nearby. No, we got this. We're going to the boat races. We're fine. That storm's going that way. And I'm like, those clouds are coming our way. And not only they were coming from one direction our way, and they were also coming from the other direction. We were like in the middle of a typhoon that was about to hit in the middle of the river. Rain starts pouring in. We're totally drenched. We're covered in towels. You could see your arm. It was literally, you were ice cold. He's trying to, we're fine. We're fine. The waves are getting bigger. It was honestly, yes, they were. It was dreadful. It was terrifying, dreadful. He finally listened to me, turned around and went the other way. And then we waited it out at the tiki bar.
So here's a woman.
And then I had several cocktails to get my personality back.
Here's a woman who has a book about this thick of all of her passwords so she can remember them, because she can't remember any of her passwords to anything. But what's amazing is,
I was like, what?
But what's amazing is she'll never forget that event. She'll never forget that
I
ever.
Never forget anything you do wrong.
No.
Oh my.
Keep bringing this up for her.
Gosh. Yeah. What's the when he throws the yellow flag?
Yeah.
We needed those flags. So anyway, I was not a happy camper. It was absolutely terrifying to me. Luckily, we did make it to shore, And then the sun came out, ended up being beautiful, and everything's fine. But we thought we were going to be the SSS Minnow. We had Ginger, Mary Ann, and Mrs. Lovey on the boat.
Lovey how.
And you were the skipper. You failed me
The skipper.
immensely.
It's more like,
So we go to order a cocktail at the
Johnny
bar.
looks a little bit like the professor.
So we order cocktails at the bar while we're waiting to make sure if we're going to, survive the hurricane or not on the river. And the waitress comes up and she's, pointing, "Are you together? Are you together?" And she points to us as we're ordering. She says, "Are you together?" I'm like, "Just for right now."
That's why he's paying.
It's soon about to change. So anyway, we have a great show today, brought to you by City Lifestyle Magazines, Chesterfield, Clayton, and St. Charles County Magazines, delivered every single month with a new theme to 45,000 homes around the cities, bringing you local destinations, culinary experiences, incredible superheroes and people that are within our cities that we want to be able to share their stories. We consider ourselves storytellers of St. Louis and the Metro St. Louis. So we invite you to take a look at them. You can go to citylifestyle.com, of course. And our question of the day, too, I need to bring you that. What's a story, real or fictional, that changed the way you see the world? So if you've got an answer to that, of course, we always like to ask our guests what the question of the day. But today's show, we're going to dive into stories that stir the soul, spark conversation. Author Shelly Pordea, I did that right, because I know her really well, joins us, and she's sitting right here, to discuss her powerful and emotional novel, The Cheating Wife. How appropriate is it? Shelly is on the show today about her book, The Cheating Wife, right after the cheating couple has just taken place. Maybe she'll have her take on the Coldplay incident. So it's The Cheating Wife, a courageous look at reclaiming your voice and healing after betrayal. And then we're headed to the stage with Rebekah Scallet. She's artistic director of the New Jewish Theater, to preview Two Jews Walk into a War. Do you know how hard it is to not to go two Jews that walk into a bar? Right? So I actually wrote bar twice when I was writing the description. I went, yeah, that's not going to work out. But it's a witty, they'll laugh because it is got a funny, and laughter in it. But it's a witty.
I had a two Jews walk into the bar joke. It just came to my head.
I'm sure you did. A movie production based on a true story that blends humor, thank goodness, after I keep butchering it saying the bar, history, and heart. So two powerful women here today with perspectives, and it will be an unforgettable hour. So I think we should just get started, since we're lucky enough to have Shelly in the studio with us right now. I'm going to put this down here so I'm not looking at that and I'm looking at yours. Hi, Shelly. I like how I get to just pivot around and act like you weren't sitting there. So good to see you. I want to come over and hug you because I'm such a touchy person since your kitchen. So we've had fun with this little mastermind group, which she decided to go out of the country, so we haven't been able to have it lately, but we really do get some cool stuff while having fun. When you're sitting there with brilliant women, things happen, and it's so fun because Bree was on the show, and I'm like, you're just so bubbly and fun, and you're just this little, you're fun-sized party, you want to bring to the party, but didn't realize how intelligent you were, because you don't learn that till you sit down and really get to dive into somebody. And of course, I was lucky enough to meet you when you were there to help me with my children's book.
Yes.
And such great information, and then LBB, and from there, just watching you just continue to put these amazing books out. So we appreciate you coming in. And you are a cult survivor, an abuse advocate, and you're drawing from your own experiences to bring us these books. So here we are sitting with you right now with your book. Did you bring it with you?
Oh, I didn't. I'm the worst at
Oh, you have it, don't you, to show the cover, Gordon?
I did send you some pictures.
Yes, we have the cover of the book. I just didn't know if you had the physical to like hold up and touch and show up. There it is right there, the cheating wife. And this follows, well, I'll let you tell it about Morgan Connor. Why don't you tell us what The Cheating Wife is about?
Yeah, sure. So it was actually inspired by some graffiti that I witnessed on a person's property here locally. And we woke up one morning, and I mean, not that we like just saw it in the morning, but you know what I mean? We were like one day just walking along and saw cheating wife on someone's property, and it's really jarring. It starts a lot of conversations, obviously, and people were really quick to judge, and
They always are.
right. And so, people were saying stuff like, "Oh, serves her right," and "What the heck," and da da da. And I was like, "What? I
Yeah.
mean, if this was a man, where would our conversations be?"
Yeah.
And so I had an idea that I was going to write a modern day Scarlet Letter story. And so I went to my husband and I said, "I think I know what my next book is going to be." And he was like, "Yeah, okay." I'm like, "It's going to be called The Cheating Wife."
And he's like,
And he's like,
is there
"Okay."
something I need to
And
know?
he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, could you put like the word by Shelly Pordea?"
Not about.
And yeah, because usually on my books it just has the title and then my name. So he's like, "I'd rather it not say The Cheating Wife, Shelly Pordea."
And a
I was
picture of
like,
you.
"That's fair. I
Yeah.
will do that." But then I told him, like, this has been a conversation starter in such a negative way, and I would like to spin the conversation in a positive way, and really ask the question, like, what are we doing as a society when it comes to patriarchy, when it comes to cheating? This is abusive to me. Like when you slather an accusation on somebody's property, that's abusive behavior. So like, what is the story behind that? And I have no idea. I don't know the person personally.
I would think it would be the other person that got cheated on,
Yeah,
possibly,
who
that may have
knows, right?
wrote something on the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
Like, "Hey, your wife's cheating with, somebody." Who knows? I don't know what
Yeah,
the
that's what
story
I was
is.
thinking. Somebody
Right.
do something.
well, no one ever wants to be the messenger and actually tell the person, because in case they don't believe you, then they hate you forever for telling.
Right.
But you want them to know. But no
Yeah.
matter what it is a horrible way, to go
Right.
about it.
Right.
So before we get into, some questions about the book and some other, why don't you first give a little background about you
Yeah.
and your desire to write books? This isn't your only book. You've also written a children's book, The Hug Who Had No Arms.
Yes.
And you have a trilogy, Tracing Time.
Correct.
So, I mean, you're out there, look at me typing. We don't have typewriters anymore, but
Yeah.
you're out there writing away, and that must be an incredible feeling, to just have these stories, come out. But tell a little bit about you.
Sure. Yeah. I think my imagination really was cultivated in my childhood because I was very secretive about things. I grew up in what I consider to be a cult. And I know it's a word that, gets a lot of flack or could be offensive, but I use it just because it helps me define a very controlling group.
Yeah.
So if that's more comfortable for you, you can call it a high control group. Whatever the case is, it was I was very sheltered, and it became more and more sheltered as time went on. It was kind of a new fledgling thing. If you know anything about documentaries, there have been a couple. Shiny Happy People highlights the Duggar family and kind of theirs, and they were our cult adjacent. And another one is Let Us Pray, PREY, a ministry of scandals, and that was done specifically on the church that I grew up in. And so, the way that they controlled us was they took media, they took books, they took all these things away more and more. And so my dad was very well educated and he wanted us to read a lot. And so I escaped into books and into writing and into my imagination a lot. And I always had a story. And so it wasn't really until I decided to like switch careers in my 40s where I was like, I'm going to be a full-time writer. And that's when I actually started writing. My dad suddenly passed away, and I wrote probably the first 4 to 6 chapters of my novel during that time just to cope with his death. I really didn't understand how to navigate those feelings until I got into a just fake story about time travel. And it wasn't until years later that I decided to publish that and turn it into a series. But I kind of caught the bug, and I was like, "Ooh, I really like this. I love writing for a living."
Are you going to write your story ever?
I think that I will. Right now, I'm working on just a fun series that I'm really loving, and it's based on places I've traveled. It's called the Flight Risk Spy series. So, different places that I've been to in the world or lived. I lived overseas for 15 years, and so I'm just using, some of those experiences to create this character who goes around the world and, experiences some pretty fun and scary and exciting things. And it's, of course, a romance novel. So there's a little bit of spice, not a lot, because I'm not into that. I have like sons. So like if they ever pick up a book of mine, like
Visualize, oh
maybe
my
not.
God.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that eventually I have 2 other books after this series that I know I want to do. But yeah, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll write my story someday. I think that's
That's
so
a hard thing to do,
Yes.
to it's one thing of maybe telling a short thing or talking about a little bit, but to really dive into it all, that's a big deal to dive into trauma, right?
Yes.
I mean,
And I
I'm sure you're
have
dealing
started
with it.
it.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
that's a big thing.
I have a whole outline like of 20 chapters of like a memoir. And probably about 4 or 5 chapters written. But that's really, I was in therapy a lot when I was doing that. And then I was like, maybe I'll do something else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you did your parents move away from it, which got you out, or did you have to get out by yourself?
I married a European and moved overseas. That's what
And
happened.
that got you away.
Mhm.
When did you realize that life was really different than what you were raised?
Well, when I met George, we went to the Colt College.
He's a great guy, by the way.
He's so great. I love him so much. We're married 30 years this
Oh,
year.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
I know, it's exciting. We just celebrated big, so it's
You
just
did. I saw the
yes,
pictures.
so great.
And your birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I was 20, so it's like turned 50, married 30 years, got to
Yeah.
do it big. But yeah, so we met in college and he was like, "What is this place?"
Something doesn't feel right
And
here.
he had come on a scholarship. Like they basically paid his way because they recruited him. And so he called his parents. He's like, "This is really bad." And they were like, what are you talking about? You've made a commitment. It was the 90s, like it was 1993. So he couldn't just hop on a plane. We didn't have internet, and they were like, just fulfill your commitment of the year. And when you come home, you can decide or whatever. And so that year we worked together because as a woman, I was not allowed to leave campus without permission or on a bus that they would ship us around on, to different church services and to Walmart or whatever. And he, as a foreign student, was not allowed to work off of campus because he was here on a visa, and so he had to only be on campus. He did have a card, and he could still travel because he was a guy. But anyway, long story short, we met working together in a dining hall. And so he fell in love with me before I fell in love with him, I think. But we just became really close. And I didn't realize that I was in love with him until he had left and didn't come back. And I was like, where are you? How can I survive without you? And he would plant seeds of like, this doesn't seem right, Shelly.
Yeah.
And I was grown to excuse and make excuses for, but I was also very well read and intelligent. And so the more questions he would put to me, and always as a question, his story is so unique and fabulous on its own. He grew up under communism, and so he watched his leader be assassinated as a teenager, and communism fell. We've all watched The Wall and all this stuff, and so the Cold War happened when we were growing up, and his story was so similar in that he was raised under oppression, and so intuitively he knew how to deal with me and my psyche, to kind of let me see the light and not put me in danger of like being like, you're the devil probably, and are trying to lure me away.
Yeah.
Which is what my parents thought for a little while.
You both have a story, it sounds like,
Yes.
between
Yeah.
the two of you, so much to learn from what
So much.
what you have. My
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
How was so has storytelling, has that been kind of a therapy for you through everything that you've been through?
Yes, of course. I think that, especially in fiction, it allows me to escape and still feel protected. When I write stories, I infuse so many people from my own life, that, of course, I wouldn't want to like out. So it just helps me tell a fabulous story, in my opinion. Hopefully, it's fabulous, in a way that is true to life. But also helps me heal and ask questions. I think that especially novelists we're not in the habit of like putting out, wisdom to the world. We are more about like asking questions through stories and what is my part in this and how do I fit in. When you read a novel, you either envision yourself as a main character or somebody within the story, right? And so I just feel like for me, it helps me make sense of the world. I'll give you an example. This series I'm working on right now with the flight risk spy. Since I lived overseas, we have met people, diplomats, different things of all walks of life, and it can seem dark, the world, the way the politicians and the leaders and whatever it is, the world works in so many ways that we don't understand. And when we start to understand them, I think that we can become very cynical unless we really see also the beautiful humans who are still within the system and trying to make it better and all of this stuff, right? And so I, with this story, am really trying to infuse the history of what we came from, my husband and I, and what our world is today and how we can be afraid of some things that are happening, but also just have so much hope because love can prevail.
Yeah.
And
Definitely did with the two of you.
well, thank you.
And that being in communism, like your husband having to deal with that, and then you dealing with being in a cult situation, there's a lack of control in both of those type of circumstances. But being an author kind of gives you control of what the outcome's going to be.
Yeah, you write your own ending.
Yes, I can always. I'm such a Jane Austen fan who I will never like write a story that has a horrible ending. It'll always just be happy. They will be happy in the end.
And that's what we are, the hottest, happiest, happy.
Hottest, happy hour on STL. Grab your mocktail and cocktail. Cocktails make you, I always say it gives you personality. I don't have mine. Give me another drink. I'll be just fine. So do you have a future screenplay that's going to be happening, right?
I mean, that's always the hope.
Yeah.
So there's interest. There's always like, I got an email from a producer, are the screenwrites available? They are still available if anyone is listening.
Okay.
No one has bought them yet, but yes.
And that's the process, is getting somebody that's going to take it on and want to direct it and film it.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Thank you.
So give us your books right now, or I can't believe how fast this went by. Give us your books right now and how they can get a hold of Shelly. Also, if you're interested in publishing a book, you've got a story to tell. Not only does Shelly write her own books, but there they are: Forgiving Fate, Chasing Shadows, and Tracing Time. That's the trilogy there. The Night We Met. Yes.
Yeah, that's book one in the current series. Yeah.
So please, if you have a story, Shelly also helped you to write your own story if you're wanting to publish a book. So you have that as well.
Correct.
Not just about your books. Let everybody know how they can get a hold of you in both areas.
Yes, absolutely. So for me and my writing, you can go to shellysnowpordea.com. That's my website, so you'll find everything there. I currently work with a local hybrid publishing company, LBB Publishing. So you can contact me at publishing@womenoflbb.com. For inquiries on that. So,
and all your books are at Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart. You can
put your name and they'll be able to get those then.
Yeah.
Gosh, well, you're so creative, so talented, and very patient and kind as well, and appreciate that. If you were, because you've already written your books, but was there a story, real or fictional, that changed the way you see the world?
The Wizard of Oz.
Really?
Yeah.
And tell me, quickly, how the Wizard of Oz changed your world.
Yeah, so that was a story that I read first, and then of course when we were growing up, it was always played every year on like TV on like CBS or something once a year, and it kind of depicted the world that I felt that I lived in, the black and white, and then the
color.
All changed to color.
My imagination, and so
that's
that
great.
changed everything.
Who's the Tin Man or the the Lion with Courage that in your life? Shelly Pordea, right? Pordea. See, gosh darn it. And we went through this in your kitchen too.
I know.
On it, so.
I feel bad. We go through this every week.
Yeah, it's just. There's not a lot up there.
School teacher.
I did.
She couldn't pronounce anybody's name.
Luckily, I'm not. Or there'd be a lot of idiot children running around with no education if I would have been their teacher. But I would have given them lots of hugs, though. Yeah, that would have worked out.
Well, there you go.
Shelly Pordea, an amazing woman. Check out her books. If you want to write your book, she can help you with that as well. Thanks for spending time with us and sharing all that you have to offer. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. We'll be back right here on the In Your City show on the Lou Information Station at louinfo.com, streaming 24/7, of course, on the radio at the new KLIS 590 AM. We'll be right back, and you're going to meet two Jews walked into a war with the artistic director, Rebekah Scallet. We'll be right back. right, we are back in your city show. We've got two new guests in the studio right now, and maybe you've heard about the show coming to town. Two Jews walk into a war. And with us right now, we have Rebekah Scallet. She's the artistic director. And then we have one of the actors actually with us, Charles, or we're going to say today, you said is okay to say Chuck Winning.
Yeah.
What a cool last name. Did you always win?
I wish. I mean, it would have been great for the lottery, but
You got a great DJ voice. You should be on radio.
Yeah.
It's like this booming voice that's coming out right now.
Sure.
I agree.
So this show is starting, actually, gosh, what day is today? The 23rd starts, or 21st starts the 24th, right, of July,
Yes.
and goes through August 10th. And we'll make sure everybody knows that it's at the Jays Wool Studio Theater. We'll talk about that. But this is a modern vaudeville. So I like that when I caught that word vaudeville, not your typical play or theater style, but vaudeville. I mean, that's a very descriptive word in a different way of a show taking place. It's full of humor, shtick, as you call it, and sorrow. So all rooted in survival and an unlikely friendship. Tell us a little bit about this.
So this is a really unique story based on a true story
Yeah.
of the last two Jewish men living in Kabul, Afghanistan. And this is true. There used to be a thriving Jewish population in Afghanistan, over 40,000 Jewish people at one time. And by the 1990s, it had dwindled down. And by this time in the early 2000s, there were literally just two men who both
Really?
lived in this last operating synagogue. And then the kicker is they hated each other, could not stand one another. And this inspired, there was an article about it in the New York Times, and people were really, multiple people's imaginations were captured by the story of these two guys. And it turned into, there's a documentary that was created about them called Cabal, C-A-B-A-L, in Kabul. That's about their relationship and how they got along and how they survived. But our playwright, the one we're dealing with here, Seth Rosen, was inspired to write his own play, which is entirely fictional. So we have two men who are the last two Jews in Afghanistan who are sort of loosely modeled off these original two guys. But from there, he just used his own imagination. And he was really struck by this sort of odd couple idea that you have these two totally different people who are forced to deal with each other because the thing they share in common is they don't want the Jewish community in Afghanistan to totally disappear.
Yeah.
And they're both super stubborn about that. So, and then he brought this sense of comedy. You mentioned the vaudeville, and he really used sort of, there's a great tradition of Jewish humor that's rooted in the old vaudeville circuit, the Borscht Belt, the Catskills comics, those kinds of folks. And so he really applied that kind of humor and sensibility to telling the story.
Gosh, that's fantastic. So where is it now? We had the two men, but where is it standing now with the Jewish community?
In Afghanistan, I think it's
Still.
gone.
Oh,
No, they both.
Gosh.
One of them died in the early 2000s, and the other one is still alive. But when America left, he was convinced finally to leave and
To
get
leave.
out. So now he lives in Israel.
Oh, does he know about this stage production?
Well, I don't know if he knows about our production here in St. Louis, but
Okay.
he does know about that
How
this
it's
play
been.
was written. The playwright actually has made contact with him before.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
That is very cool. I was showing some pictures earlier about it. So the two did not like each other.
Yes.
They learned to get along with each other. And so is it basically kind of like an odd couple type of thing? It's like they're
They're
both
different
totally
people?
different people. They both have different thoughts and different views. Where I don't know, it's at the Wool Studio Theater.
Yeah,
Where
I've
is
heard of
that?
that.
Because I don't think I've ever heard of that.
That is, so it's the New Jewish Theater, or NJT. We're a part of the Jewish Community Center in Creve Coeur. So the Wool Studio Theater is a small black box space inside the J. We seat about 125 people.
Small, intimate crowd. then.
Yeah, but it's a really great space to work in. There's not a bad seat in the house. And we have great parking. So that's a bonus
Yeah.
as well.
That makes it nice as well. So I know you've given a summary and about, the two people. It's rooted in real life events. How do you bring that humor into something that really is such a serious subject and a sad subject at that? How do you bring that humor into it? And do you find that the audience, because that could be difficult to watch, especially if you're from the heritage, from the culture, it could really strike, or maybe, I guess they go in knowing there's humor, so they're ready for that. Do you think that's a healing aspect of it, having that humor?
It is, and I think it's a needed point, because if you're just constantly bombarding people with depression and
Yeah.
and hurt and death, it gets to the point where it's unbearable. You
Mhm.
need that kick of the humor to try and bring you out a little bit, and then and flow you back into the next segment. And it also helps bring things a little bit more home to the person, because if you start getting inundated with too much darkness, you're just going to end up tuning out.
It's true.
And the levity is there, and the levity has poignancy to it as well,
Mhm.
which I think it makes it very important for the show.
But there are emotional moments in the show, it sounds like, from what I'm
There are.
reading, and that. So
Yeah.
there are those moments, but I think that's what makes, like, a movie or a book. It makes it so good when there is that part where you can feel that laughter, and that part that makes you, cry or emotional. I mean,
Yeah.
hitting all of those buttons like that really is an educational but yet life-changing experience at the same time. So, Chuck, what role do you play in
I
Two
play
Jews Walk into a War?
Zebulon Krakatoa. He is the younger of the two.
Okay.
He's the more reformed style.
Mhm.
The other character, Ishak, is more of orthodox. So it's interesting that these two guys really dislike each other to the point of hatred,
Really, that
and
deep?
that they can come to a point where they can start putting those differences aside, and you see that kind of morph into the show, where they can put those differences aside and actually kind of come together for the common purpose of bringing.
Boy, if our
things
world
back.
could watch this, right?
Right.
Learn from these two men with the hatred and being able to come together.
Yeah,
Wow, wouldn't that be something if that happened? What age do you find that this will particularly appeal to? But wouldn't it be wonderful if the younger youth could be there to watch it, because there's so much they could learn from it?
I think actually this appeals, I think, to every age. To be honest with you, I mean, the young people, I think, will easily be able to get it. They would love the humor, they would love the content of it, and the people that are in the middle age and older would love it as well too. It kind of speaks to the entire community here in St.
Entire
Louis.
community, not just the Jewish community, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anybody will be able to learn and feel from this and understand.
certainly.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about who directed it and who are some of the other people in the play.
Rebekah, the artistic director.
Well, so I'm the artistic director of the theater, but on this production, I'm actually the co-director. So along with Aaron Sparks, the two of us have been working on the show together, which is kind of an unusual arrangement to have two people working. He actually unfortunately got ill right before we started rehearsal, and so I had to step in at the last minute. But now he's recovered and is back in a part of the process. So we're really doing it as a team, and that's been a
Glad to
really
hear that.
cool collaboration. Yeah.
So again, we talked about the theater, and he put a picture of Aaron up there.
There's Gary.
That's Gary,
That's
our
Gary.
other cast member. Yes.
So it made me almost lead to the next question of the design of changing and making you look the part. But I was actually going to go into making sure of, if somebody wanted to attend this, how do you get tickets? What kind of cost is it to see the event?
Sure. We have a wide range of tickets available. You go to www.newjewishtheater.org, and all the information is there on how to buy tickets. You can also call our box office over the phone, and the phone number's there.
And I know if you just Google, I mean, if you
Yes.
literally just type in the name of the show, Two Jews Walk into a War, it literally, pops up there, talks about the play script and so forth for that.
Yeah.
So the two of you are just in here. What kind of makeup and wardrobe? How does that work with you? Or do you walk into your?
Well, it's probably one of the most comfortable costumes I've ever read.
That's true, right?
But yeah, it's costuming. We have a phenomenal costumer, Michelle Seiler. She did a great job. Makeup. Well, I mean, I didn't really have to change
No.
age there. So we pretty much will fit it in pretty well in that aspect. So the only other thing is the makeup with there's a little bit of a makeup that gets applied throughout the show and then comes off. But I guess
Special
you guys you guys will have to see that when you come.
Is it just the two of you on stage the whole time?
Yep.
There's no interaction of anything else, just the two of you. How long is the play?
An hour and a half.
Wow.
No
How do you
intermission.
remember all those lines? I
I was
mean,
gonna say,
two people
just
just
the two of you, you can't mess up a line.
The challenge. Let's just say that.
like what happens when you're on stage? You know your lines. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
I can't remember. I walk the refrigerator, so you know how do you do something? I know you're a trained actor, obviously,
Yes.
but that's an incredible amount of time to
It is.
remember.
It is. Basically, it's definitely a huge challenge. One of the things I always, whenever I would talk to like a students or something like that, think of it as this way: if you have a favorite song, right,
Hmm.
and you hear it over and over, you remember the words of the song, and you can sing it the second
Right.
day, same
Sometimes.
day. Then the trick is to figure out exactly the character that you're portraying, so you can find out what their their ticks are, their idiosyncrasies, what their how they would react to another person talking, and then once you have that, then it just all falls into place. Then of course you have to rely on your other actors, because if
They
there
hope
comes
they
a
have their
time where
line.
you're like, oh, then I mean, that's the beauty about theater is we're a family and we're always there and we depend on each other and we can
Yeah.
always catch each other. So and that's how we
Someone
all
can
make
give
it
you a
work.
hand if needed with it to kind of,
Mhm.
or you could even make a small joke out of it, I guess.
Live
Oh,
theater, anything can happen.
All right. So which line in the show gets the biggest laugh, and which line which line
puts them in
have you
tears?
had in the show that has gotten a laugh, but that surprised you?
Oh, good Lord.
Gosh.
That's a good question.
Well, we haven't had an audience yet.
Oh, okay. True.
In the
In the room.
I don't know. I mean, I'd say, I mean,
Do you have a favorite moment that just is
yes,
really
I do. There's a
oof.
scene where, because they're having to recreate the Torah
Okay?
because it was taken by the Taliban. So Ishak's got it memorized. So I'm writing it down as he's dictating it to me. And then we come up to this thing about what can be eaten, what can't be eaten. And I'd say my favorite lines are when it talks about thou shalt not eat the rock badger. I'm like, what the heck's a rock badger? Anyway, and we go into this huge stick about that. But with live theater, the beauty part about it is in every show I've ever done, you go on one night, you get a huge laugh on this line. The next night you won't, but you'll get a laugh that you've never gotten a laugh on
Isn't that
before.
something?
And it's great because it reinvigorates you. It's
Yeah.
like
Does
every
it-
night's a new play.
Yeah.
Does that throw you off? Does that make you then you got to get back on track? Like, whoa.
I used to, when I first started acting, back when I was a teenager, yeah, it used to throw me like, oh wait, where am I at now? Okay, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
I've even done shows before where I would say a line that was really dark, and for some reason I had gotten a laugh out of it. And then that kind of threw me a little bit.
Sure, you weren't expecting that.
Because it's like, why are they laughing at that?
There is
Okay.
something feeding off that audience, isn't it? Like
Mhm.
when we used to do a podcast where it was just you did the podcast for later, showing, it was so different than being on air and talking to people or having the live text come in or things like that, because you're feeding and off of that. I mean, that's got to be exhilarating when you're hearing the audience laugh or emotional or cry, being up there knowing that you just emotionally set them whether into humor or
Right.
tears.
Yeah, and it totally, you feel the vibration coming off the audience.
Really?
There was a gentleman that had told me once that there was a study done that when you get into an audience in live theater, they all start, everybody, their rhythms and their heartbeats and stuff like that start to sync together.
Wow.
And
I've heard
That's
that
pretty
before.
deep.
gets
Yeah,
fed off to the actor, and the actors like feeds off of that as they're performing.
So my last question here is, what do you want the audience to take away from this story?
I want the audience to take away from the story that no matter how different that we can be, that we can always come together to make something better for the greater good.
Mm.
And no matter how dark it can get, as long as you have faith in that and a commitment to that, then you can always be successful.
Wow, that's fabulous. Rebekah Scallet, and of course, Chuck Winning. Thank you so much. Two Jews Walk into a War, July 24th through August 10th at the Jay's Wool Studio. You can get the tickets, through the
newjewishtheater.org.
Yes, you can get those there. Well, before we go, we want to give a big thank you to St. Louis Closet Company. They're located over on Big Bend. Jennifer Williams is not only our friend, but she is a woman in business for over 30 years, bringing you a different, I guess, it's not a one size fits all. Let me say it that way. Her team will take you through every step. All the production is done in-house, on location, in her gorgeous, I want to say studio, but it's this huge, gorgeous building. All of the manufacturing, you can actually see it happening through the windows right there on site. Incredible, from if it's a drawer to a pantry to a mudroom to a basement to a closet to a bedroom. It doesn't matter what the room is. Maybe it's something at work. Maybe it's your theater that your back room is filled with props and stuff and you don't know what to do with it. She can create calmness for you. She will organize it. And what she always says is she takes you from chaos to calm or chaos to clarity. And we love that. So thank you, Jennifer Williams, for being part of In Your City show. Thank you to all the great guests who love coming in and sharing your stories with everyone. Lou Information Station is where you're listening to us live on demand 24/7 at louinfo.com. And of course, great shows all day long right here on the KLIS radio station of 590 AM. So until tomorrow, we'd like to say to you, cheers.
Cheers.